was really good. I mean, God, we always loved coming here. I thought it was fantastic. We had some really good fights early on, and the crowd got going again, as always, singing to themselves, keeping everyone happy. But no, I really enjoyed it, as always.
Dave, a lot of people criticised the main card coming in, and it turned out to be not a great main card at all. What are your thoughts on it after?
Well, the one thing you can't control is the fights. Obviously, you know, the three main fights at the end there. You know, they almost all went the distance. You know, sometimes you can't get that magic elixir with the fights, and you know, tonight maybe wasn't the best for those at the end. But we had lots of action all night. I mean, so many fights tonight, so many good high points throughout the night.
What do you think of the fact the arena was maybe not empty, though, maybe half full by the end?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw towards the end there, I think, you know, it was a long night. Fights went quite late, so I mean, people are probably nipping off for public transport towards the end there, but there's still nice and vocal flair there. I thought it was a really loud crowd.
Do you think that's something in the future? Look, maybe putting less fights on the card?
Sorry?
Do you think you'll put less fights on the card in the future, maybe?
Well, you know, it's a tough one because we've got so many Irish fighters, and I think we want to keep them all busy. And even with coming here twice a year, you know, there's a lot of guys who want to be on the card. I agree, though, it's a long night of fighting. It's probably 7 hours of fighting, you know, so plenty of action, plenty for people to do. But it is a long night, for sure.
To put Leah topping the bill. How pleased with your performance, and also what is this going to mean for the rest of her career moving forward?
Well, as I said all week, I think you know, obviously James pulling out wasn't ideal. You know, you don't want to lose your main card if you're going to lose any fight. And but it was a natural decision to put Leah on. I thought she'd earned it. You know, she's had a fantastic amateur career, and she's doing so well with Bellator, and she's become almost an ambassador for the sport and for Bellator, as I've said. So really happy to have her on there. I thought she had a tough fight tonight, but she came out on top, and she was a clear winner in the end. So I think going forward, I mean, you know, she'll go back, she'll look at that, learn a lot from tonight, and I'm sure she's, as I've always thought, had a great future ahead.
And suggestions she could even be back in the octagon in London?
Well, she always wants to fight, you know, so she came out of this one unscathed. I'd love to have her on the cards over here in Europe, so you know, she brings a good crowd, and I think she could, who knows, we'll speak after this, see how she's feeling.
A lot of eyeballs on her tonight globally. In terms of a fighter's progression, MMA's probably more evolved than other sports in how they push fighters, particularly female fighters. What kind of doors will tonight open for her?
Well, as you say, I mean, you know, we all know it's about profile, character, you know, and your performance, and I think she's doing very well, and people seem to be really interested in the Leah McCourt story. So I think, you know, we'll be seeing a lot more of her, and I think being on the main card, Channel 5, Virgin here, you know, across the world, I think it's going to give her a really, you know, put her on people's maps, and you know, there'll be a lot of people who want to see her, and a lot of people who want to fight her as well.
Dave, it was a really frustrating night for Aaron Chalmers, I guess, not the way he wanted it to go tonight. What's his contract situation with Bellator? He's talking about maybe perhaps WWE and a few other ventures, but what's the status of Aaron right now?
Well, I can't speak for his other ventures or his other ideas. I think you're right, he had a frustrating night. I mean, to be honest, we've had some great nights with Aaron. You know, he often really wants to fight. I think, you know, he's offered some great fights in the past that have been really entertaining, really exciting, but he just, you know, got, you know, out-grappled tonight, and he just couldn't do anything about it, and you could see the frustration on his face.
We were talking about the crowd and that, you know, some people leaving early. Did this highlight the importance of James Gallagher for these shows? The fact that he has been the headliner for so long and he's become a huge star for Bellator, not only in Ireland and the UK, but internationally. Did this kind of highlight his importance at all for you?
Well, I think there's James and obviously Peter Queally. I think you can't forget Peter. I think he's a huge part of this card. I mean, anyone who's seen him fight here, you know, you hear the crowd's reaction, and we got very unlucky with this event to have both of those guys drop out, and you know, it was just bad luck, I think. But of course, you know, we picked the fights that we think are going to do well and fill the arena, and we lost the two big fights on this card. So you know, obviously it does have a small effect.
You mentioned some impressive performances earlier in the evening. Who were the standouts for you?
God, it was like such a long night of it, wasn't it? I think. No. I'm trying to rattle through them all. I think there was just, you know, it was a great night of fights. I think, you know, just seeing that depth all the way through. Obviously, the local guys and girls did very well, and no, I really enjoyed it.
Is there any update on the Philip Mulpeter, Daniel Crawford thing from today? Obviously, we talked to Philip after. What was Bellator's kind of view on that?
You know, I think we haven't got the official line from that, so I just like to probably leave that one till we find out a little bit more about it.
David, there's been a lot of frustration again on Twitter about fights on the card not being shown until 3 a.m. Fans want to know why is this still happening and why can't they watch the fights live?
Well, they can if they come to the arena.
Fair point.
Look, again, we do the best we can. I think we've got certain obligations with our licensees, and we had the American show, which we like to do over here. We had a big card. We did a Paramount show and a Channel 5 show, and we had our YouTube channel for all the fights. So you saw all them fights earlier on globally. You saw obviously free to air here in Ireland on the Virgin card for the last 3 fights, and Channel 5 in the UK. But the Paramount fight has to play out at the right time in the US, and they've got the right to do that. So that's replicated as a simulcast over here with the Sky Show.
Peter Coyley mentioned that Bellator were annoyed at the fact that he had hidden an injury before he fought MVP. Can you comment on that at all? Do you know how Bellator's line on that? Were you disappointed to find out that he was injured after the fact?
I haven't spoke to Richard about that, and I'm not really too familiar with the details behind that one.
David, we had Ross Houston obviously back here earlier, and he once more spoke about that he would love to headline a Glasgow card. Obviously Duncan won his fight tonight, and then you've got, although it didn't go well for Bungard, but he's also a big star for you guys. How soon could we see that happen in the future?
Well, I've always said, it's definitely on the map. We really want to go to Glasgow or to Scotland, and I think Chris has been great. It wasn't his night tonight. And Ross is a big signing. I think he's really enthusiastic. I think he had a great night tonight. He was looking in the crowd. I think after tonight he wants to fight in Dublin, so that'll be on his list as well. But certainly we're getting to that point now where we're seeing a lot more Scottish fighters, and it's all about having that sort of roster that makes sense to go somewhere with. And obviously why we're in Dublin, and I think we're getting to the point where we're getting close to having it.
He mentioned a fight with NCAMP. Is that something you guys would be interested in?
He mentioned that to me back there as well. I think I'd like to see that. He mentions NCAMP, he mentions MVP. I think he fancies quite a lot of battles out there. So but NCAMP, Houston, I think would be a good fight.
Any update on the next return to Ireland?
Sorry?
Any update on the next return to Ireland? Maybe a date?
I'll definitely have a date for you very soon. I think you can imagine it'll be very similar to years gone by, but we'll be back here in 2020.
And with the fact that the UFC are coming back obviously in a couple of months as well, is that going to make you make this card even stronger when you come back next time?
I don't feel that pressure really, if I'm honest. I think we've got the fighters here. We've got the depth in the card. So we don't. We're playing our own tune, I think, and we're going to do what we want to do. I think we'll come back with a great card, I'm sure. I'll have lots of depth in it, and I'll be looking forward to it when we announce.
Towards the end of last year, Paul Daly was taken off of TV in his analyst role. Is there any particular reason why that was the case, or any comments on that?
I think we'll keep that one private, but we'll see Paul obviously in the cage soon, fighting, doing what he loves doing best.
Another thing as well, that yesterday you announced the William Hill exclusive sponsorship. Does that show how much the European Series is building recognition and getting that mainstream attention that you're after?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's lots of things that go into a successful promotion. You have good fights, good events, obviously the TV deal, but from a commercial point of view as well, we're looking to attract sponsors to the European Series, and the William Hill was a great sign. I think it was proof that people are taking us seriously. They can see where our product's going, and I think it'll be the start of many.
London next. What are your expectations of James Haskell?
I'll let you guys have your own opinion of him, but I'm just been really impressed by his application. I think he's an elite athlete who has had a very good career, but he's really hungry for this, and he's not messing around. I think he's taking it very, very seriously. Who knows how good he'll end up being, but I think it's been very interesting, that sort of new eyeballs he's brought to the sport. People are really interested in that crossover and what someone who's been very successful in one sport can do in MMA, and I think he's been very honest about the road to it. He finds it very, very hard, and I think for me it's really good for maybe general sports fans to realise the sort of depth of talent you need for MMA and the fitness and the application you need, and so he's been a very good mouthpiece for that, and I think we'll see a really interesting few months, and who knows what will happen when he gets in there. He won't have a team of 14 extra people around him to help him out, so I think he's really relishing the challenge, and I'll certainly be one to watch.
Do you have the crossover with Aaron Chalmers as well? Have you found that the eyes that initially came across to watch Aaron have stayed, or are you finding the spikes when Aaron's fighting?
I think Aaron, I think Aaron's now seen as an MMA fighter, which is probably what he wanted, and I think he's brought in. It's often my job, I think, to have a look at what we can do to bring new eyeballs in. I've said it many times. We've got a great sport here, but we need new people to come and watch it if we want to grow. And Aaron was fantastic for that, and he proves to be for me. I think, yeah, he's fantastic.
Cheers, Dave.